Okay, so moving on to white. The white part of this cube has a lot of white weenie creatures and decent amount of removal. So you can definitely use white to play rushdown strategies, whether it's red white, or should I say Boros rushdown, black white rushdown, anything like that. And it also tops off with some pretty solid bigger white creatures that you can use for green white or something like that, or for a blue white control deck. So we're going to start off with the non-creature spells as usual. Reciprocate, Path to Exile. A few of these are normally first picks. Like Path to Exile has probably been first pick every time it's been drafted. Same thing with Swords of Plowshare. And I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. So Gather the Townfolk. It's part of a underlying token strategy that you can draft in this cube. Same with Lingering Souls. And the rest, for all intensive purposes, is removal. The creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. Ghostly Prison. You can definitely run it in a aggro deck, but it's probably stronger in a control deck. Devouring Light, removal. It's 3 mana, but it does what it's supposed to do. Oblivion Ring, removal as well. Really, really good in limited. Timely Enforcements. This is definitely a card that you'd probably play in something like a blue-white control deck, when you know you're going to have less life and less creatures. This can keep you in the game until you get your strategy going. Captain's Call. Again, another token card. Face Feathers. It gains you life and it stops a permanent from doing what it wants to do. And finally, Banish and Stroke. It's removal. It's removal for artifact, creatures, or enchantments. Now onto the creatures. Gideon Lawkeeper. Gideon's Lawkeeper at 1 mana and 1 to tap a creature. This guy is actually pretty strong if left unchecked. He can definitely keep you in the game or control someone, and I don't want to say lock them out of the game, because if they have more than one creature, obviously they won't be locked out, but he can be a problem, and he has been a problem. Elite Vanguard, as I said, you can definitely draft White Weenie and splash with another color for a pretty solid beatdown deck. Mother of Ruins. Ikashin Javelineers. This guy is unique in the sense that it is a 1/1, but it comes into play with a Javelin counter on it, and you can tap it to remove a Javelin counter to do 1 damage to a creature or player. That 1 damage could be very relevant. Leonin Skyhunter. 2/2 flyer. Thraben Heretic. This card's in the deck for 2 reasons. 1, as I said, you use cards that you have laying around. And 2, the ability to exile a creature from a graveyard can be very relevant. As you guys have seen in the black section of the cube, there's a lot of reanimation that can go on. And you've seen in the green that there's a lot of ways to recur cards from the graveyard with Witness and stuff like that. So this is actually not a bad ability, and it's 2 for a 2/2. 1 white, 1 colorless, so it's very splashable. Knight of the Holy Nimbus. Very good card, but it is 2 white, so if you're going to be playing it, you're going to have to make a firm decision that you're going to be, if not white heavy, at least half white to be able to cast it, along with a few other cards with double white here. Core Firewalker. If you're facing red, or if you're playing red-white, this guy can keep you in the game by gaining you a lot of life. And if you're facing red, the protection from red is very, very relevant. Samurai of the Pale Curtain. It's another way to stop reanimation strategies, or recursion strategies in general. And it's also a 2/2 with Bushido. Johnny's Sunstriker. Another 2/2 for 2 white. As I said, a lot of these cards are really solid at 2 mana, but being 2 white, if you want to play them second turn, you're going to have to invest heavily in white. Azorius Arrestor. Really, really good. Early game or even late game, this guy can be really good. He can help you survive longer by stopping one of their creatures from attacking, and getting damage through yourself because it can't block for a turn. Suture Priest, this is probably just a really good card to have in a token build, but just in general it'll put work in. Knight of Glory, it's one of the 2-drops that's a lot easier to splash. White Knight, the original, everyone knows what White Knight does. Niblis of the Urn, this is actually a really good card, and kind of reminds me of Frost Titan in the sense that when it attacks you can tap a creature down, and it's also 2 mana for a 1/1 flyer, so I think this card is really, really good. In a control build or even in a rushdown build, it's probably stronger, because you can lock a creature down every time you attack. Wall of Omens, this is probably a card that you'd play in a more control build or just a mid-range or something like that, because it'll keep you in the game. 2 for a 0/4 defender that cantrips. Silver Knight, Niblis of the Mist. Unlike the other one that taps a creature when it attacks, this one taps a creature when it enters the battlefield, and it's a 2/1 flyer instead of a 1/1 flyer, but it costs 1 more. Emancipation Angel, you can definitely use this card for basic shenanigans with any of the enter the battlefield effect creatures that you're playing in your deck. Like the Javelineers, you can use the counter off him, bounce him back with this, and cast him again to get the counter back. But there's probably better ways to use this card in the cube, depending on what colors you're playing. Riftmark Knight, it's flanking, pro black, and if you suspend it, it has shenanigans. Fiend Hunter, just a really, really solid card. 3 for 1/3 and its removal, all in one. Seller of Songbirds, it's 3 for 1/2, but when it comes into play, you get a 1/1 bird creature token with flying, and sometimes flying can be very relevant. Core Cartographer, it ramps you 1 planes. Basically, that's about it. Azorius Justicar, when he comes into play, you get to detain 2 creatures, or up to 2 creatures, so he can definitely lock your opponents out for a bit. And Seraph of Dawn, this is a really, really good card in this cube. 4 mana for a 2/4 flyer with lifelink is just really solid. Master Splicer, just like most of the other splicers, you get a golem when it comes into play, and it's 4/4/1/1, and your golems get +1/+1. Guardian of the Guild Pack, it's 4 for 2/3 with protection from monocolored, so this guy's going to be unblockable a lot of the times. Glimmerpoint Tag, this is another way you can do shenanigans with your enter the battlefield creatures, or you can just exile one of your opponents to get some damage through. Calciderm, this guy is, I've explained with the green one how strong the Shroud actually is on the 5/5 body. This is the same thing, it's just really, really strong, and it's proven to be a problem so far. Guardian of the Gateless has evasion at 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer, and it can block any number of creatures, so that's always good. Shattered Angel can gain you a lot of life. I think I've gained 12 life from this in a game that I still ended up losing, but it can definitely put some work in for you. And getting to the top of the curve here, Serra Angel. Everyone knows Serra Angel. Changeling Hero, 5 for a 4/4 with lifelink, and you get to champion a creature. So the drawback is also a pro, because the creature, if you champion a creature and this dies, the creature comes back into play, and if it had to enter the battlefield effect, you get the effect again. Gold Knight Redeemer, 6 for a 4/4 flyer that can gain you a lot of life depending on what build you're playing. Voice of the Provinces, I was actually going to take this card out. It was kind of a placeholder, but it's kind of grown on me. Even though it's 6 for a 3/3 flyer, the flying is very relevant late game, which is when this is going to come out, and the 1/1 human is relevant as a blocker. Urbis Protector, 6 for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you get a 4/4 Angel token. And finally, Archangel. It's probably the best or strongest creature in white. So it's 5 for a 5/5. It's 7 for a 5/5 flying vigilance. Going to do blue next, and check in the description for the list for the white cards. Thanks.